evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the English news from Djibouti channels. Here are the main stories of our editions tonight. The President Ismail Omar inaugurated this morning the new headquarters of the Djibouti Embassy in Paris. A follow-up meeting on government action of social development during the meeting in the premature. On continental, new escalations of violence between Palestinians and Israel. That were our top stories, and now let's get to the detail. After his participation yesterday in the celebrations of the century of the armistice, making the end of the great work, the President of the Republic participated today in an important ceremony organized at the Embassy of Djibouti in Paris, capital of France. On the occasion of inauguration of the premises of the Chancellery, completely renovated and refurbished, this ceremony was the occasion of a large gathering of the entire Djiboutian diaspora living in Europe. The party started even before the arrival of the presidential couple on the place. The President of the Republic was accompanied by the First Lady, Mrs. Khadra Mahmoud. Had a very festive atmosphere reigned in the great hall, where songs and dance were presented to the audience in honor of the head of state. The President of the Republic, accompanied by the First Lady, when he arrived on the place where there were ovations by a crowd, came en masse to acclaim them. A real walkabout, the Chief of the Republic and the First Lady, where each member greeted the head of a state and his wife before unveiling the plaque marking the inaugurations of new Chancellery complex. The President of the Republic complied with the rule by responding to the greetings of each and every member who came to cheer him. Here's the atmosphere of this day that marked the reception of the presidential couple. Participated this inaugural ceremony, who participated the president and the first lady. This morning came after the celebration of the century of the armistice, making the end of the Great War. The president, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, participated yesterday next to nearly 60 head of state in that event. The inauguration of the premises of the Chancery, completely renovated and reestablished. This ceremony was the occasion of the large gathering of the entire Djiboutian diaspora living in Europe to come in the ceremony, who participated in the ceremony to welcome the president and the first lady. The party started before the arrivals, where all the participating dancing in the great hall, where songs and dances were presented to the audience, honor of the head of state and his wife. During the ceremony, the President of the Republic, Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, delivered a speech where he thanked the Djiboutian diaspora for this exceptional welcome which was received to him and the First Lady. He added that Djibouti and France share relationship of friendship and deep cooperation that touch different fields. The President, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, emphasized in his speech that the Djiboutian diaspora and France represent their country, and it's important first of all to preserve our values which were related, the culture, and to be models in this country that you recited, he added, and to be an example in all the levels. That's all about the education, the civism, and the good behaviors to preserve our religion. And he concluded the important to be in contact with the embassy, which are the one of the which are to serve them. And after that, in an interview with our colleague Mohammed Dahir, the President praised the accommodations he had been given to him and to his delegation, and impelled the welcome, qualified the chieftain in the Djiboutian diaspora, who he said moved even from Scandinavian countries. For some, I have expressed my gratitude to them. With regard to his stay in Paris, the number one Djiboutian and France is a country that we share and a deep relationship, and that's the reason why we share all the staking of history and experience by the Great War. Millions of French people take part in the Great War, and were killed, as well as members of Djiboutians who participated at that great war. It's the reason for me to participate it, and it's important to be one of the thousand of head of state to participate in this ceremony of armistice. Under the chairmanship of Prime Minister Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, on Monday afternoon, a thematic meeting was held on social development policy. The meeting, which took place in the conference room of the Premier, brought together members of the government, including the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister for Women and Family, the Minister of Health, as well as the Minister of Culture and Waqf Property, and the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, as well the Secretary General of the Government and Education, and several senior officials of the Ministerial Department mentioned. It's still within the framework of the series of thematic sectoral meetings organized under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister. The main coordinators of the government actions, that is the meeting today, whose conceptions and paradigms that drive public policy of the head of state, will focus on this time on the policy focused on improving the governance of social policy. In his introduction remark, the Prime Minister reiterated this imperative by stating that the inventory of our country significant achievement in social matters he has been established, and that we have also analyzed the persistent social deficits and their causes and consequences. Both persistent social deficit and their causes were noted on April 4th, continuing the Prime Minister to clarify his expectations. The members of the government and their teams present during this meeting. The ministers of Health, Mr. Jama Al-Mauki, yesterday received Professor Ahmed Ashraf, a French neurosurgeon from Grenoble University Hospital, who will operate at Piltier Hospital. The interview was attended by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Salah bin Noita Turab, and the Doctor of Piltier Hospital, Mr. Hussein Mohammed Hussein, and other senior official of the Department of Health. Professor Ashraf is the head of the neurosurgery unit in the Grenoble, France. Is currently in Djibouti as part of a medical partnership between Djibouti and France. He will assist the Piltier Hospital neurosurgery department led by Dr. Dianka. Professor Ashraf will provide care and surgery for dozens of patients, including young children and with deformities. In the framework of the cultural event dedicated to the youth, the Center of Community Development of the city Nasib organized Friday a big ceremony in the presence of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, Mr. Hassan Mohammed Kamil. It was found this evening of young and old men and women, especially at the CDC of the city Nasib, was celebrating the first anniversary of the opening of all them committed with joy. This encounter marked by a program of dance, songs and entertaining sketches. The inhabitants of newly designed Nasib city warmly thanked the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport and requested him to renew their opportunity, who reiterated their gratitude and deep thanks to the President, Mr. Ismail Humargil, who offered them this beautiful home following fires and occurred in several sectors of capital city. The Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, Mr. Hassan Mohammed Kamil, reassured the inhabitants of the city Nasib they will not be forgotten and urged them to keep the environment clean and attractive. He asked them to keep this build clean and to preserve for all the problem could happen. The work of the commissions of the Technical, Administrative and Financial Commission ended at the end of the second day of the third two sessions of the Administrative Council of the organization's capital and Islamic city. The Mayor advisor in charge of relations with the Arab world, Mr. Ahmed Mohammed Ibrahim, shared the work of the technical commissions. This is Fatouma Awali Osman, new president of the OCVE, chaired the closing ceremony. This session began with the reading of the resolutions and recommendations proposed by the various committees, followed by exchange. 7 resolutions were adopted. The new president of the OCVE, Mrs. Fatouma Awali Osman, has in her closing speech thanked the Assembly for their participations and the very rich quality of the exchange and reflections. She also paid a heartfelt tribute to the Standing Committee, which is the backbone on this beautiful organization. She urged members to make a greater use of these structures as a common platform for the exchange of relevant models for the promotions and development of Islamic capitals and cities. From there we go, in here we move to the continental news. Gaza renewed tensions between Israel and Palestine resistance. For more details, let's follow this report.
The shelling came after okay were fight from Gaza towards Israel, leaving one Israeli settler in critical state. The Palestinian Ministry of Health in the Gaza Strip confirmed that the toll of Palestinians since the start of the Israeli escalation against Gaza has amounted to 6 people, while dozens were also injured. On Wednesday, the ministry announced the death of 3 Palestinians in the Israeli shelling east of Gaza. Palestinian militant groups in Gaza, including Hamas, claim responsibility for the rocket fire and the missile attack on the pass, which they say was being used by Israeli soldiers.
For editions tonight, thank you for watching us. Goodbye.